Alex, good morning to you. What's the latest on Terry for the desert?
Yeah, good morning. Looks like John Terry could well be following Steven Gerrard out to the Middle East. Al Shabab, not one of the four clubs owned by the public investment fund behind Newcastle United, but still regarded as a big club in the Saudi Pro League. John Terry, my understanding is, has been talking to them for several weeks now and is a serious contender for the job. It's even been suggested that he's going to fly over to Saudi Arabia this week to try and cement this position. John Terry's been desperate to get a job in management for a long time now. He's tried his hand at a lot of different clubs in this country. Hasn't quite happened for one reason or another. So I can understand from his point of view why he fancies the chance. I don't think it is just financially motivated. He's been working with Chelsea's development squad. They won't stand in his way because they know how keen he is to get into management. But there is a possible spanner in the works because there are elections going on at Al Shabab at the moment, much like we see in La Liga. And I think John Terry is the choice of one of those standing for president. So if he gets the gig, then it should be a foregone conclusion that John Terry becomes the new manager. If one of the other candidates gets in, there's talk of Christophe Galtier also being on the list.
Okay, Galtier, somebody we bumped into in our hotel in Qatar. Simon, John Terry, say he takes it and he gets a job at Al Shabab.
Second to bottom of the league at the moment they are. Finished fourth in the last couple of seasons, second the season before that. So they're sitting in the bottom two of the table right now.
Right, okay. So you're keeping across the Saudi
Just
Pro
having
League
a look
now,
to
are
see
you?
what they are. No,
It's of
because
interest
I
to
knew
you.
that it was a subject matter, so I thought I might as well avail myself of some information.
Well done,
Do a bit of
research.
prep every now and again.
A bit of prep, okay. So Simon, in your view, from what Alex is telling us, would that bump you up or bump you down the list amongst potential employers here in England?
Neither, I think. I think ultimately for John Terry, who hasn't been able to find himself in I thought he had ruled himself out of wanting to get into managerial roles. But obviously what Alex is saying is that he's desperate to get into them. Maybe he just isn't being afforded the opportunity because people don't look at him in that perspective. Having met the fella, I think he is a great leader. I don't know whether he's a great leader as a manager, but certainly as a player, he's a great leader. And going to Saudi Arabia for someone like him that doesn't have any managerial stock right now, I don't think disadvantages him in any shape or form. I think the Gerrard situation is a different dynamic because he's already been a manager for 3 years in Scotland, a year in the Premier League and come up short certainly in the Premier League, and is now going off somewhere else because he doesn't seem to be able to get a job in English football.
But does any time in Saudi enhance your career, managerial or otherwise?
It enhances your bank balance. I'm not entirely sure that you can really talk about this league in any great substance until we see it unfold in front of us over the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and see what happens. It's all well and good. There's a lot of noise in the Western media about how much money is being spent and how much they're overpaying for players that possibly people don't want, and creating headlines by going after players like Salah that are headline popcorn grabbing moments.
Yeah.
But we'll see about the competitivity. I don't think it's a bad move for John Terry. Given the fact that he has no managerial criteria whatsoever. I don't think it's the greatest move, but it will, and it could set him off into the space of Robbie Fowler, finding himself travelling around that circuit of football clubs in that region and not really gaining any credence, because we had this conversation a week ago, didn't we, about Robbie Fowler managing different sides in different parts of the world and not being happy with the fact he gains no credence anywhere.
Yeah. Good point. Alex, what we know is today is deadline day as far as Saudi Arabia are concerned for signing new players. We hope indeed to speak to somebody from within the Saudi Pro League tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. But what is likely to happen today? And you know where I'm going. Mo Salah?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out a bid. It was said to me last week that they could even put in an offer to Liverpool that would smash the world transfer record. You're talking £200 million for Mo Salah. But I think they are resigning themselves now over in Saudi that this deal isn't going to happen this summer. I've always been of the belief that it will happen eventually. I think Mo Salah will end up over in the Saudi Pro League, but I think probably he feels that he owes something to Liverpool. I don't think he would want to leave them in the lurch at this moment in time. He posted a picture on social media after scoring at the weekend of him pointing to the number on the back of his shirt. I think that was a message that he's still committed to the football club. But I think probably the conversations that are happening between him and the powers that be are similar to when Cristiano Ronaldo left Manchester United for Real Madrid. He promised Sir Alex Ferguson one more season. He delivered, and he delivered in terms of scoring a lot of goals that season. And then off he went for his dream move. So I think probably if we're sat here in a year's time, Mo Salah by this stage will be playing over in Saudi Arabia.
What we can say, Simon, and I know you've been at loggerheads with me about this, but the impact has been made by the Saudi Pro League. they've thrown a giant stone in the water, and we're still seeing the ripple effect. It is true. They've done what they set out to do. They said, we will be players in world football.
Well, they don't need any PR where they've got the Western media doing it for them. Look, they've spent 700.
Come on.
They've spent 700.
Look at what they've done already.
They've spent 700 million on acquiring players, paid probably more for each one of the players than really their worth is. They've benefited the European leagues by some 11% in terms of the turnover of the transfer deals that have been done in these leagues. So at this moment in time, what have they done? What have they done besides make a lot of noise? It's style over substance. Let us see. There's no doubt in my mind that the Saudi Pro League, if that's what they want to do, will become a competitive league. If they want to become a competitive league on the world stage and enter and engage in other tournaments that have European influence, then they will have to fall in line with the governance of football. And the moment they fall in line with the governance of football, therein becomes the end of their appeal. So,
well, we're going to come to that actually. Just before 11 o'clock, we'll talk more on that, because it could well be that the Saudis are closer than anyone might think to.
I wanted to ask Alex,
football's party.
Is Alex still there? I wanted to ask him, Alex, what do you make of this? I have this conversation on a couple of times with Ben Jacobs about the notion or the conduct of the Saudi Arabians trying to buy a footballer by making bids at the very last moment that give Liverpool no opportunity to have a replacement. Do you believe that that's some form of naivety on their part, some form of arrogance, or some form of position where it gave Liverpool an opportunity to get out of jail by taking a deal that ultimately they couldn't replace because they couldn't spend the money? Well, I mean, what do you make of it all? Because I think it's a ridiculous set of behaviour. If you want someone to buy if you want to buy a top footballer, you've got to give the club that's selling him an opportunity to replace him.
Yeah, you took the word out of my mouth, actually, Simon. The word that I would use probably is arrogance. I think they feel like they are changing the landscape of football and that basically they can throw as much money at any particular situation and they'll get their wish. Kylian Mbappe, to his credit, proved that wasn't the case because he refused point blank to even engage in conversations about a move to the Saudi Pro League. So I think there's still a long way to go until we take them completely seriously. I still think if you look at the players that have gone over there, they are largely players at the veteran stage of their career, and that will be the case with Mo Salah as well. If he does go next year, he'll be 32. His Liverpool contract will be imminently coming to an end. So yeah, I think naivety as well. We know that they've tried to poach not just players and managers but chief executives from this country. I think Paul Barber was talked about at one stage, but he didn't want to go. So I think maybe on the business side of football there's still a little bit of development to go, but it's certainly
when we see Jude Bellingham
dynamic.
When we see a transfer like Jude Bellingham going from Borussia Dortmund to a Saudi club, then we can talk about that league being taken seriously by top players.
Oh, they've hit the headlines, Simon.
That's it,
hit headlines, and they will continue to do so.
But most of the time behind headlines is no substance.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.